My first brand was called Brush with Bamboo. It's a bamboo toothbrush brand. And the production was originally in China. The moment I moved into emphasizing make in India is the moment and the time when my business really started to increase. Because foreigners have a demand to make in India.
Also, I think when it comes to eco-friendly and sustainable products, people look towards India more than China. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Is it true?
You're 100% right about that, and I experienced that myself.
But when you talk about exporting Indian products to US products, the cultural difference is vast, right? So how people can find a synergy between the Indian and the Western culture and make a product, which is Indian but fit for Western market?
Yeah.
Can you give some insight on that?
How can entrepreneurs, young Indian exporters think about, or new Indian exporters think about interesting product ideas that are going to be good fit for US market, Canadian market, European market, Eastern European market, Latin American market? How are you going to think of those ideas? It's not going to be on Google, and 100% ChatGPT will give you a bunch of garbage, useless ideas.
Okay.
So the only way to really get those insights is
What you can say to the viewers who are seeing this video about the US tariff thing, how they can navigate through this situation?
Well, I'll be honest, the situation is definitely not easy to navigate because this current US leadership is just one guy.
Hi Rohit, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. And so we'll do this podcast in English because Rohit is a little weak in Hindi. So we'll try to do a mix of Hindi and English.
मेरी तरफ से पूरी कोशिश है, but yeah, majority English for me.
Yeah. So Rohit, थोड़ा सा context देने के लिए audience को, if you could tell us about your history, how did you get started with exports and business and D2C brands?
Sure. Yeah, so I actually started my import-export journey. My first factory, my first shipment was China to US.
Okay.
And my first product was adult toothbrushes.
Okay. So Rohit, before getting into products and
Sure.
export, I would like to know how you stay in USA, right? So if you
Right.
could tell us about your family, education, what did you do in college?
Sure. So my family's been living in the US for almost 40 years, 50 years. So my father went to the US.
Okay.
So I'm born in the US and did a lot of my schooling in India, which is why I've just been coming to India again and again
Okay.
throughout my whole life. So I think unlike a lot of NRIs, I have strong connection to India because my father was also an Indian exporter-importer.
Oh,
So
that's great.
and he never wanted me to go into this business, to be honest. He wanted me to just go and get a job.
Okay.
But somehow I ended up doing the same thing that he did. It's not a business that I inherited from him, but I ended up creating a very similar business to what he did for many, many years, including my mother. My mother was also involved in import-export from India. So I had that family background. Actually, I was supposed to become a lawyer. So I took all the...
Perfect.
They didn't want me to go into business. So I did all the exams and everything to become a lawyer. I even went to law school for 1 year and then I left.
Okay.
And then I decided to go into business. So, but yeah, I'm a full-on Indian American, born there, raised there, and got into business with India and China 15 years ago.
15 years
So when I was 24, 25, I started exploring business with China and very quickly also started doing business with India. Part of my education actually, so I spent when I was 18, I came to Delhi. I did 1 year studying in Delhi University.
Why did you come to Delhi for studying?
So I actually...
People go to US.
Yeah, exactly. My bachelor's degree, my BA, is in politics from UC Berkeley in California.
Yeah.
And as part of that, so I specialize in Indian politics, Indian history. So I'm very, very, I would say I'm like, I hate to compare myself to Shashi Tharoor, but I'm very well read in Indian history and politics.
Okay.
Extremely well read, and my specialization was Indian history and politics. So part of that was that I did my research thesis on India-Pakistan nuclear relations, which was done at Faculty of Arts and SRCC in Delhi University. So I lived in Delhi civil lines for 1 year. When I was 18, I had my 19th birthday here in Delhi, and then so that's my context. I'm educated in both places.
Like very rooted with India.
Very, very rooted with India, from family perspective, from business and education perspective. And that's why I wanted to go into India export, because it was a mix of what my family had a background in. I'm not really formally trained in business, but I was kind of going into law and decided that business gives a lot more freedom. If I had become a lawyer, you have to take the license for a particular US state, and then you have to kind of stay there. So I always wanted to be able to, I always picture myself on airplanes, flying around, going wherever I want, and business gives that freedom, but law doesn't really give that freedom. Being a lawyer is kind of like being a dentist. You have to stay in one spot and develop a practice there. But I always wanted more travel freedom than that. So that's why I went into business.
I think the manifestation has worked for you, and
yeah, probably.
Now you're traveling to India and all
now
around the world.
That's my life.
That's great.
Right now when I'm talking to you, Dipankar, I'm going to be in India for 5 to 6 months.
I think that wouldn't be possible with a
not
with a
possible.
job.
Last year I was here 3 months. The year before that, every year I'm here, and sometimes I have to come just for a week, 2 weeks, then I leave. I have to go to China for 1 week, then I leave. But
even I spoke to a few exporters before this. So I did a few podcasts with a few exporters also. You must have seen a few podcasts. So majority of them, the motivation behind entering the export business was they wanted to travel around the world. So yesterday only I did a podcast with this guy who was doing hair exports.
hair
extension exports,
South
right?
India
Human
se
hair.
jo wo
Yeah.
asli baal South India ka.
So he has been traveling around the world like for last few years, and which is someone who is coming from Saharanpur and traveling the world is a big thing, right? So yeah, I think that's a major motivation for people to coming into exports business. Perfect. I think audience must have gotten the context who Rohit is, and आपको तो देखा ही है already इन लोगों ने. I guess majority of the लोगों ने देखा हुआ है आपको. So ठीक है Rohit, I think context मिल गया है. तो next we would start with the brands, right? If you could tell audience about the brands that you have founded and how that turned out. उसके ज़रिए आप you entered the export business as far as I know. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. I started doing brands. Only after I ran a brand for 4 to 5 years did I become a trading company. And then after being a trading company, I started forming deeper and deeper relationships with factories. Now I have factories in India that are like on my favorite list in my phone because I'm friends with them. I've been working with them for so long. And then over time, I also branched out from there to doing services. So for the US market, for America and Canada, I also provide the service of third-party logistics. But yeah, exactly like you said, I started in brands. My first brand was called Brush with Bamboo. It's a bamboo toothbrush brand. And the production was originally in China.
Okay.
Export was primarily from China to America, Canada, Europe, a little bit of Australia. That brand actually went global very, very quickly because I was the first mover on the market.
Okay.
So for many, many years, 3 years, I was one of the only, if not, I was for sure the first and one of the only bamboo toothbrush in the world. At that point, when I started in 2010, 2011, no one really even wanted that product.
Okay.
Demand was very low.
Okay.
So, but for the people that were into that product, they knew of my brand. I was the #1 search result in the world. You search for bamboo toothbrush in Australia, you're still going to get my brand as the result. Okay. In Norway, Sweden, you search that online, you're still going to get my brand as the result. So we grew very, very quickly. So in a very, very short period of time, I was doing production in China. I was moving the product into US, and then I started getting requests, ship it to Norway, ship it to Finland, ship it to Australia, ship it to South Africa, ship it to Canada. So now, as someone who has no background in how do I get the item to all these places, okay, now I'm started learning, okay, well, I'm going to send it from China to this country, or in this case, I already have the inventory in US and I need to move, I can just ship it from my US inventory. Side by side, I started early on getting requests, let me put my brand on it. Again and again, I get requests from companies. You have brush with bamboo, very good for you, but I want my brand on it. In the early stages, I declined all those requests.
So you were selling it under your brand name, right?
Only my brand.
Okay.
Only my brand in the early days. And then after a while, when people started asking that and the order size that they would place, if I put their brand on it, started getting bigger and bigger.
Okay.
Then I got open to private label. And then you essentially become a trading company at that point. I fully embraced the trading company model around year 5 of me starting the business, that now, okay, I know how to make stuff in China. By then I had already also branched out into India. So rather than just operating this one brand, actually it became 2 brands. Then I opened up to the possibility of I'll make your product with your brand on it, and I'll either use China or I'll use India, and I'll deliver everything to you. So it's like solving a problem for the customer, right? If they
you were working for only the bamboo thing, or they were demanding other products also?
Initially, in the beginning stages, it was just the toothbrush, and then people started asking for other things. So I just started doing other things, and I was lucky to have some good mentors, because my contact in China that helped me make that first toothbrush, he is a trading company.
Okay.
So I learned, and he's doing millions USD in revenue, living like a rich life, like full on. Actually, his name is even rich. He's an American guy.
Okay.
So he taught me a lot. He taught me all the basics of running a trading company. Private labeling, contract manufacturing, not owning a factory, but using factory contacts to make people's products for them with their brand on it, and then you make your money in the middle. Basically having a middleman model, and how to be successful with that. So I had a good example of someone, he's 30 years older than me, so that's successful in that model, and I copied that model, and so then I became a trading company, and then I started a trading company, also a provider of supply chain services, you could say, where I do contract manufacturing and leveraging. Then I entered in a whole different stage of the work, where now I'm doing factory discovery. So I would travel around India, try to just meet new factories that are good quality, maybe already exporting, maybe already have a few foreign clients, or they're ambitious, professional, good operations, not really exporting yet, but I can see that they have the potential to do it and could be a good partner. So factory discovery in India. And I really leaned into India, to be honest, in the early days, because I made my product in China, but when I have a customer or potential customer that's, let's say, European or American or Australian, and they look at me, they're automatically going to assume, Rohit Kumar, okay, I'll give you the India stuff. And here's this Chinese trading company, I'll give them the China stuff.
Okay.
So I have a natural disadvantage when pitching myself to a foreign customer that I'm going to make something for you in China.
Okay.
Naturally, they'll just give that to someone that speaks Chinese, looks Chinese, right? So, and one of my big philosophies in business is always play your natural advantage.
Natural advantage.
Like if I was born and raised in Moradabad, I would be using that natural advantage. If I was from Tirupur, I would be doing textile, right? But for me, I have a natural advantage as an NRI in foreign markets, and then my name is Rohit Kumar. I speak basic Hindi, and and I have decent family connections here. Not much. I mean, we've been outside of India for 40 years, but using that as my trading company advantage, that we will contract manufacture for you in India, that really worked for me. The second I moved from pitching China as the place where I'll contract manufacture for you, and the moment I moved into emphasizing make in India is the moment and the time when my business really started to increase, because foreigners have a demand to make in India.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that question, right? That
Sure.
when did you start sourcing from India? I think we have already
Yeah.
gotten that answer, that it was a natural demand coming from the buyers itself, that since you are an Indian, you should provide
You
Indian
should,
brands.
yes. Yeah.
And also, I think when it comes to eco-friendly and sustainable products, people look towards India more than China. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Is it true?
You're 100% right about that, and I experienced that myself. So you may have heard of this brand Bamboo India. The founder Yogesh Shinde, he's came on Shark Tank. He's making the bamboo toothbrush in India.
Yeah.
Now you have many different suppliers but he was the first to really make in India, and then there are many suppliers which can
I think
provide you.
people are making a lot of products out of bamboo socks, bamboo bandanas, bamboo, all this stuff out of bamboo.
Eco-friendly, it's going to stay in trend. It's never really going to go away, because the fact is that the earth is just full of plastic garbage everywhere, and one way or another, people are going to want to stop using that. So, especially in the demand, when you reach the income level of Northwestern Europe and America and Canada, then you have a customer that's thinking a little bit more about that can afford to think more about that. If you're on a lower income scale, you're just thinking about survival. You're not necessarily thinking.
Exactly.
You're not thinking, how will my dollars affect the earth? You don't care about that. You're just trying to have breakfast and lunch and get your kids through school, right? But in these markets, like especially, the biggest markets for us for eco-friendly is America, Canada, Australia, and Scandinavian countries, the UK. These places, especially Scandinavia, they really think about these things, environmental. So, the demand is there, and there's a natural disconnect in the buyer's brain that if I'm buying eco-friendly, they think China is not eco-friendly. China can try as hard as they want. They just don't think China is eco-friendly, because they think that the Chinese factory is always going to do something that's not actually eco-friendly. Or then even forget the actual practice of what the factory does. There's a branding disconnect in the actual end customer, where the consumer thinks that China is not eco-friendly, but the consumer thinks that India is eco-friendly.
I think for China also, China produces at a very, very large scale, right? And if you take few examples, if I take few examples like lithium processing for EV batteries, it creates a lot of pollution, right? So most of the countries cannot simply afford it to do a lithium refining, because it produces a lot of pollutants. That's one. For solar refining also, it produces a lot of pollution. So they do a large scale and do on a fact level, they don't care about the pollution thing, because they just want to make and dominate the manufacturing thing. That's the main priority for them. So I don't know how relatable is it with the Western market, but yeah, that's the truth. So I wanted to come to since you in the beginning you said you found that product bamboo with brush. I wanted to ask that how did you get into that product? How did you आपको वो idea कैसे? How did you get that? But we'll talk about that later on the video, right?
Sure.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the market inside. I think you have already mentioned how the Western market is thinking about Indian products. So if you can just do a little breakdown, like for sustainable products, when you go and pitch about sustainable products, Western market, they look towards India, right? Can you break down, like, can you give us any example? When did you start finding that? I mean, for bamboo, just any example if you can give.
Sure. So I think that idea about India as having eco-friendly products it's like a default, it's like a standard in not only you might call the Western countries, but you can even say the high end of the market in the entire world, Japan, the elite wealthy people in Thailand, the wealthy people in Indonesia, they all have an idea that if you think about what are the natural preconceptions about India that are positive. We created yoga, Ayurveda. We have not really gone to war with a lot. We don't really go to war with anyone unless you attack us. We're not planning to attack you.
Yeah.
We're the world's largest vegetarian country. So these are all positive preconceptions which associate India with sustainable, natural, and a generally positive view that, and I think most of those views are, to be honest, true. That we have a culture here which is unique. This is the home to the largest Hindu population on earth. It's the home of Buddhism. Yeah, there's a lot of unique things about this country which are just simply not anywhere else. There are no other country where this culture exists, and that's the preconception that all the foreign countries have about India. So because of that, eco-friendly is like a natural fit. So because of that, the branding that India can get out of eco-friendly is unlike what another similar manufacturing country like China has. So you can sell India eco-friendly easier. The buyer walks in with a preconception more positive. In the same way, if I was to give you the example of Korea, Korea, they've developed. It's a little bit different, but they've developed. They developed the reputation for beauty over the years. Like when when I was a high school student in the U.S., like class 10, class 11, the idea that an American is going to use Korean shampoo or put Korean products on their face is like a joke. If you said this product was made in Korea, they'll just throw it out. It's not made in USA, it's made in Korea. Are you crazy? They'll just throw it away. But over the last 10, 15 years, they developed a reputation for themselves that it's made in Korea, it's actually superior. Like you'll have two products next to each other. This is made in US, this is made in Korea. The Korean one must be superior. That's the perception that they made for themselves. For India, it's not a direct correlation, but if you were to go into supplements and things like that, like if we're talking about herbal formulations, you want like a blend of something for male testosterone or acne, and it's an Ayurvedic blend. It has ashwagandha, shatavari, and XYZ herb. India can develop. India already has a preconception there that it's Indian, it's authentic. That can be leaned into further.
So that can be capitalized by the Indian entrepreneurs.
You can be capitalized. I hate to use the word capitalized because it makes it seem like you still need to deliver really, really high quality. But it is true that, you can capitalize on that, for sure.
I want to ask a follow-up question when you talk about capitalizing on the Indian stuff, right? But when you talk about exporting Indian products to US products, the cultural difference is vast, right? So how people can find a synergy between the Indian and the Western culture and make a product, which is Indian but fit for Western market? Can you give some insight on that?
Trade show and travel. Doing trade shows and traveling.
Okay.
Actually, this kind of goes back to what you talked about. The question you just asked me, that how did I come up with this idea, and then the question you're asking now, that how can entrepreneurs, young Indian exporters new Indian exporters think about interesting product ideas that are going to be a good fit for US market, Canadian market, European market, Eastern European market, Latin American market. How are you going to think of those ideas? It's not going to be on Google, and 100% ChatGPT will give you a bunch of garbage, useless ideas.
Okay.
So the only way to really get those insights is you make sure you have an Indian passport and you get on a plane, you go to a trade show. And
what is
trade show? Like an expo.
Okay.
Go to an expo.
Okay.
Go to a industry event for whatever category to get an idea. So within India, like here, you and me right now, we're talking in September 2025. I just went to a pharma expo, Pragati Maidan. Just last week I went. And later this month, we have a World Food Show, again, Pragati Maidan. So we have lots of international trade shows here. Great. But you're going to primarily get Indian vendors, Indian ideas there. If you want foreign money, you want foreign customers, you need to travel outside of India. And the easiest baby step to take for that is do the Gulf. You can, without too many visa issues, take a 4-hour flight. You can go to a lot of nice international trade shows in the Gulf, Dubai, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, all these countries. Go and do some Gulf trade shows. Attend. You don't need to even exhibit. Just go and walk.
See what people are
See
selling.
what's going on. Honestly, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, these are the closest truly international destinations for all Indian entrepreneurs to just, with an easy travel visa, just get on a plane and the whole world comes to you rather than you have to go to the world. But beyond that, there are a lot of countries and trade shows that you can go to and you will really get to understand the local market. This is kind of an unrelated example, but I just saw this Instagram reel and is a guy from Lucknow, UP. He's opened an Indian restaurant in San Salvador, El Salvador, which is a Latin American, Central American country. And he's probably, I have one of my good friends is from San Salvador, El Salvador. He was my college roommate, El Salvadorian guy, fully Spanish speaking, right? And I asked him, I sent him that Instagram reel, and he said, oh yeah, I know that restaurant. He said, there's only 3 Indian restaurants in the whole San Salvador, and this is one of them. You think about, okay, those people have money. They're actually gaining more and more money. The country is growing thanks to the president over there, the new president that they have in El Salvador. He is one of 3 players. Everyone loves Indian food.
Yeah.
It's not export, but it's a similar strategy. You're going to a market that's not being serviced by Indians, providing the service of the Indian product, and getting the maximum amount of customers because you went to a place where there was scarcity of your product. So you're gonna get a lot of business, right?
So जिनको सुनना था कि if they will get to exports get to travel if they come to export, that's true. I mean, before starting only you can go and do some trips, small trips, and get some ideas, right? So that's definitely gonna be there.
Yeah, I think जहाँ तक export की बात है, travel is mandatory. Mandatory.
Nice.
Not only for the actual operation of the business, लेकिन वो idea कैसे आएगा आपके मन के अंदर? वो उस idea को पाने के लिए you have to get on a plane, in my opinion. You need to actually get into it.
So I want to ask you one more question, a follow-up question to the Gulf Trade Show.
Yeah.
So besides Gulf Trade Show, if you could tell 3 more trade shows to the audience कि जहाँ पे लोगों को जाना चाहिए to get some new ideas so that they can make Indian products for the Western market.
To be honest, there are just too many trade shows, and I can just tell you I can't speak to, there's too many industries, too many trade shows to say that this trade show is the best. And I mean, actually there is a best trade show for every product category. I can say for my product categories that I'm into. So I'm into food, home, bath and body, kitchen. The main trade show for the US and Canada market is called Expo West, expowest.com, Natural Products Expo West. The main trade show for that same category in Europe is called BioFach, BIOFACH. It happens every year in February in Nuremberg, Germany. And then India also has BioFach, but you're going to get primarily Indian suppliers there. And Hong Kong and I think Japan also has BioFach. So for my category, that's the best trade show. Perfect. Because I deal in food and natural food, natural products, natural cosmetics. That's the best trade show. But for those of you listening that are in pharmacy, there's a main pharmacy show that happens, and for those that are in the different categories, lighting, office products, the 100 different categories, there's a trade show for everything. actually. And the trade shows happen for different markets, or they might happen for worldwide. And I think it's really, really important to attend that. वहाँ पे जाओ, देखाओ एक बार कि कटिंग एज इंडस्ट्री के कटिंग एज में क्या क्या हो रहा है, वो सब देखना ऑनलाइन, वो सब ऑनलाइन देखना नामुमकिन है. It's not possible. You cannot chat GPT those ideas. You have to physically go there and see that this is all happening. This is the cutting edge. Once you see the cutting edge in that market, then you can also see where do I fit in. So it's when a new entrepreneur is looking at a trade show and you walk the whole trade show, then that's the best way to get the idea that if I put this booth here with this product, then it would sell. There's no other way to do that. ChatGPT and Google is never going to tell you that. So, and there are a lot of countries. I made a viral video a couple months ago from the point that we're recording this, where I gave 5 countries that with Indian passport you can travel, no visa restriction. Simply show up. I think there's like an online e-visa. Just show up. And El Salvador is one of those countries. I think Ecuador is one of those countries. There's so many countries you can travel to. And I really think, especially in the era that we live in right now, your primary export market doesn't always have to be the US. It doesn't need to be. And in many ways, if we think about the example that I just gave you with the Indian guy opening up an Indian restaurant in San Salvador, now let's say that same guy goes to United States. It's too crowded.
Too crowded.
You're going to have to go and open that Indian restaurant in the worst neighborhood of the cheapest state in the US. It's going to suck there.
Okay.
You're not going to have fun there. You're not interesting to anyone. But if you go to San Salvador, now you're the main party. And San Salvador is cheaper. This guy is taking some money from Lucknow, UP, and he has enough to open in the capital city over there, the trendiest city there is, with all the richest nearby population. You want to be in that type of situation. So don't always think about, मैं इस product को US लेके जाऊंगा. No, it doesn't need to be like that. Who cares about always targeting the US? You want to target places where less targeted.
I think since you're talking about US, I wanted to also cover that tariff part which is going on right now. If you could give a message to the, there is a thing happening in the Indian market, because our main trading partner for exports was US, and since there is tariff of 50%, what you can say to the viewers who are seeing this video, who will see this video, about the US tariff thing, how they can navigate through this situation, and hopefully the tariffs will end soon and we will resume our trade. I think that will happen in the future, but till now, if you can say something to the viewers, how they can navigate this situation right now.
Well, I'll be honest, the situation is definitely not easy to navigate, because this current US leadership is just one guy. It's not really, you're not dealing with a group of people that make policy decisions based on a lot of different inputs. You have just one guy waking up every morning and deciding that he didn't like the way Modi talked the other day. So, making an entire country go through a 50% tariff just because of one person's reaction. So, I would say that at this point in time, I'm not really sure. No one is really sure how to navigate, because you have only one person's mind that you're kind of guessing what they might do next. To be honest, whether or not that tariff will go away, most analysts agree that it will eventually go away. So, what I do is I call up the richest, biggest businesses and try to see what they're doing, and most are operating under the assumption that it will go away. We just don't know when it's going to go away. And at this point in time, right now we're talking in September, there's also some chance of the Supreme Court of the US striking the tariff down as illegal. That's a possibility.
Okay.
That's one thing. But overall, the reaction I have to the tariff is long-term diversification. So there's 3 more years of Trump from the point we're recording this. I don't know what the US-India relationship will be, and the US US to anyone relationship is kind of weird right now because there's 50% tariff on Brazil, then maybe next week that won't be there, and Vietnam tariff was 48% if we look 3 months ago, and now I think it's 26%, something weird like that. So no one knows. I can't stay well researched on the numbers anymore because the numbers keep changing. And all that leads to in the exporter-importer community is, number one, we're irritated. I'm sure you're irritated too.
Yeah.
It's irritating, and also you're unsure. And when you're unsure, you can't plan anything. And when you can't plan anything, you can't have a business. So what that means is that you try to go. Money always goes where money wants to go towards stability, which is why Dubai and Abu Dhabi had the highest net inflow of global millionaires in the last year. And I mean, so money is moving to places where it's stable, you know. So in answer to your question, long story short, my answer is diversify.
Diversify.
Yeah,
That's the only option that we currently have.
Yeah, there's just really no option. And I think the best way to diversify is not necessarily to go after your other, especially. So I'll say, like, if you're listening to this and you're a well-established exporter, I would say I'm kind of you would consider me well-established. I can go after the other expensive markets fairly easily. Europe, Australia, Canada. I can push myself, and even the Gulf. I can push myself into those markets, and I can stand out against the rest of the crowd as a good option in those markets. I would say if you're just starting, if you're listening to this and you're just starting, don't go into those so expensive markets yet. Not unless you have some decent funding. Maybe take a step back and go towards Latin American markets. I know African is kind of difficult to approach for a lot of people. I've heard some people go into losses there, but Latin America might be a better option. It's very untapped. My main trading company mentor from China, he is in Latin America all the time. And Latin America population is huge. They have same thing, global. They have growth. They have urbanization. You can do a lot of interesting products in a place like Latin America, and you're not gonna have a lot of other Indian competition over there. To be honest,
can you give us pinpoint 2-3 countries in Latin America where people should focus in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean you could start with the biggest economy, Brazil. The biggest entry point. If you wanted to take the place where you can form one connection and have a massive market to serve over the next 10 to 20 years of your life, then Brazil is the biggest economy.
Okay.
You could also think about countries like Argentina, Chile. Those are also fairly sizable, but yeah, the biggest one is Brazil.
Perfect.
So, and those people pay on time. That these countries, you're primarily dealing with a very educated class of people when you're dealing with the South American customer, and they are, I would say, especially when I hear stories of how people deal with the Gulf and things like that, they pay on time. The South American country will pay you before shipment from India. There's no such thing as waiting for the payment or chasing them for the payment. They don't have that in their culture.
Okay.
So it's a good market to approach, along with all these other US +1 destinations: Canada, Europe, UK. We have a free trade agreement with India, Japan. These are all great markets. It's just that now we're, sorry to interrupt you, but we just now have this. Everyone would by default go to the US. If I was just talking to you 2 months ago, then we'd be having a whole conversation about the US right now. But there's a economic and numbers and simplicity reason why everyone for decades would only take their product, refine it, get everything good. Maybe if it was a brand, get your branding ready. If you're a trading company, get all your marketing material lined up. And why would everyone go to the US first? Is because it's a largest consumer market on earth. They print money there, so all currency is based on their currency. They have unlimited capital, technically, in the way that global economy operates right now. And then you have these 360 million, 330 million people, plus you can add in the population of Canada in there, because it basically is the same market. So when you enter the US before, if you're an Indian exporter, if you're entering the US, you're entering all 50 states of the US. You're also kind of getting Canada in there in one move. They all speak the exact same language. You have one language you need to put on everything, and it's done. So you're getting all of those markets from East Coast to West Coast in one move, one legal system. So, and they spend a lot. Like, it's also easier that you have a consumer that is open to learning about new products, because it's like an innovative place. People think about, they'll adapt some new thing. Like, look at how the US just took yoga or just took Ayurveda and they just make it their own, and then it integrates into their culture. So you don't have number one, you don't have a lot of cultures like that. And number two, it's one continuous market. So if I go to Europe, I have to take the same product and translate it into 50 different languages. And then I have to deal with 50 different legal systems. Even though it's technically EU, it's not really. There's more details than just EU, right? And then they don't buy as much. They're not consumer cultures. Same thing in South America. It's not like there's one single country you can enter. So that's why people have always done US first. But if the US is trying to discourage imports, then what are you going to do about it? That's that country's decision, and you have to move to where the money is going.
Yeah. Perfect. I think that makes sense. I think we have gotten enough about the market insights. I think it was very valuable about the market. What market should Indian exporters focus now after the tariff thing? I wanted to ask about the future opportunities that you are currently seeing in India. If you talk about, like, what are the opportunities, what are the products in the next 5 years that's going to rise up in terms of exports? Do you have anything in your mind? Like, what are the opportunities you see in India in exports, imports in the next 5 years?
Well, we have the traditional, if you look at India's top exports, you're primarily looking at pharma, number one, and jewelry, auto parts, textile. These categories are dominated by big players. Big players. I would never advise anyone watching this that, you should enter the diamond and jewelry business. You're a small entrepreneur. It's very hard to break into that.
So the opportunity is
closed. If you could. One
category.
Pharma is also very regulated, and it takes a long time to get an export license and do all that stuff. The opportunity is in, number one, nutraceutical and cosmeceutical and cosmetic. These are categories which are not as regulated as pharmaceutical. By nutraceutical, I mean things that would fall under the categories of multivitamin, vitamin C, vitamin E, pills with turmeric, haldi, pills with health supplements. This is all nutraceutical. It is regulated, but it's less regulated than pharmaceutical. In every export market, it's less regulated. We also have world-class production here, even if you just did a part of the supply chain. So if you could do the finished product, or you could do the pill, which is then packaged somewhere else or something like that. There's a lot of opportunity there, so India is already a huge nutraceutical supplier to North America, to Europe. What about the rest of the planet? And who's gonna facilitate all those deals? Who's gonna be the young entrepreneur that went to Ecuador and started supplement production there? There's so much opportunity there. I just did a interview with a really well-established doctor. He's originally from India, and he's doing a lot of nutraceutical, pharmaceutical export. It's worth watching. It's on somewhere on my socials. I'll have it uploaded soon. But he thinks it's just the beginning for Indian nutraceutical, cosmeceutical, and cosmetic. export. We have all the things here. The other thing is that we have more global trust in the production than if like for example, if you were taking a vitamin C pill and it says made in India versus made in China, you have the same dynamic there where I'm not going to take Chinese vitamin C. That would be the reaction from a foreign buyer or a foreign customer. So you have that advantage. So that's one category: nutraceutical, cosmeceutical, cosmetic. Cosmetic includes things like creams, lotions, things like that, shampoos. You can do good production on these items and have good margin for export, and these items have good shelf life, 2-3 years. This is a good and growing category. I'm personally entering this category. Aside from that, I think that there's a lot of opportunity. Even though it's a saturated category, there's a lot of opportunity in textile. There's a lot of opportunity there because, and a lot of entrepreneurs, maybe when I say textile, yeah, it's true that if you're dealing with major global corporations like Walmart and big brands, that's dominated by the big export houses. It's hard to break into those rooms and those meetings. Like those are dominated by a lot of these multi-generational businesses that have built their connections over time and gotten into those categories. But where India could do a lot of interesting business is with global SMEs, so small and medium-sized businesses in export markets around the world for textile, because we can do that a lot better because of Indian communication. We can do that better than Bangladesh, Thailand, China. These are the other major textile exporting countries. Communication is what will make textile export really, really interesting for small Indian entrepreneurs, especially in natural fabrics. So I just did a small order for a American influencer with 3 million followers, right? She's like a movie star. Her husband's a movie star. We did small order for them. They wanted all natural fabric, all natural dyes. So even the dyes we use like real indigo. The yellow was achieved with haldi, and the orange was achieved with some flower. Those type of textiles are going to be in higher and higher demand because people want to put natural things on their body. It's like the same dynamic that, why is the whole Western world taking haldi pills like crazy? Or why are they buying so much ashwagandha? It's a natural health. The natural health category is going to be huge. Natural textiles, really, really huge. Natural dyes, natural fabrics are going to get really, really big, and it's going to continue to grow. And the reason why I feel like a lot of Indian entrepreneurs have an advantage in that category is, like I said before, communication. So the population in this country, in India, of 20 to 40 to 50-year-olds that have really, really good communication is unmatched, right? That's why they're sending all their tech jobs and, other types of outsourced jobs here, is because we have really, really good communication. You can communicate those ideas about what you want to make, and the entrepreneur on the other side can speak back to you in the same English that you're speaking. We're having this podcast right now this is not possible in China, this is not possible in Indonesia, it's not possible in Bangladesh to a certain degree. So the type of service you can provide a foreign customer is really good. We have hundreds of thousands of textile factories in the organized sector. If you go into the unorganized sector, we have 1 million plus textile producing facilities in this country. 1 million plus. So if you think about all the interesting things that can be made for textile all around the world at low MOQ, and the supplier has good communication. So I think there's a lot of potential there servicing.
So small, so to boil down the entire conversation about the opportunity thing, you're saying first it boiled down to the eco-friendly and sustainable products for every category.
Every category.
Like from nutraceuticals to fabric to everything, and small businessmen giving service to small exporters, right? That's what you're trying to say?
Yes, yeah.
Because the biggest, like Zara and all the big brands, they procure from the biggest export houses.
They prefer from big export houses. If you're not picking picking them up in a Mercedes and booking their 5-star resort for them, they're not even going to talk to you. So there is no, if you're a small entrepreneur, there's no point even discussing, with people like that. But if you can see, you still have an exchange rate advantage. So any order in USD or Euro is good. If you're an Indian producer, there's just such a huge gap there. So, and what you would, it's honestly where I focus on too, because I'm not servicing Walmart or I'm close, but I'm not there at the point where we're doing this video. So I'm servicing many small foreign businesses in Europe, in Australia, in Canada, in America. A lot of these add up to a good business for me, but I don't have the big ones. I don't have them at the point where we're recording this.
So the opportunity lies on the unorganized part of the foreign market also.
Yes, 100%, which is enabled by social media. So you never had this before. If we were having this conversation 15 years ago, even when I started, the idea that a influencer with 3 million followers can even have a clothing brand is like unheard of. You'll not have a clothing brand because you don't have a sales channel. The only way to have a sales channel was before, you have to have your product in Target, in Walmart, or in Europe, you have to be in some whatever store is there, or in Australia, you have to be. No, you don't have a sales channel before. Now you have a sales channel. Your sales channel is what? Your YouTube, your Instagram, or your TikTok, or whatever. So you have small entrepreneurs that have a sales channel. They want to monetize. They're still, even though they have a lot of followers, they may not have a lot of money per se to deal with a big, huge US retailer, but can they give a 20 lakh order to an Indian textile producer somewhere in Bangalore or Bengal or UP or easy. They pay that much for a car. Yeah, that's just like one car for them. And if they want to start a business and with textiles or whatever, they will. Let's say they wanted to start a brand using factory production in their country. Let's say it's in Europe or it's in UK. The minimum order for them to begin their product is, I would say, any factory these days over there needs like 120,000 euro or USD. The opening order is going to be that much, meaning that entrepreneur is dealing with like 1 crore INR investment to start. Most of them don't have that money. They do have enough money to do a 10 lakh, 20 lakh. Yeah, they can do that. So you have a factory advantage when you're doing Indian production. And to be honest, the best sectors where we can compete against China, because a lot of that money is going to go to China too. The sectors where we can compete against China effectively as Indian entrepreneurs is the things that you put on your body and in your body. On your body, you're putting cosmeceuticals, cosmetics, shampoos, conditioners. Korea gets a lot of that business, but if you stick to Ayurvedic, natural, you can get some of that business. And then in your body, you're putting nutraceuticals, you're putting supplements, vitamins, things like that. Food products to a certain extent too. I mean, I forgot to mention that, but food is there too. The only reason food is a little bit more difficult is shelf life. Exactly. In nutraceutical, cosmeceutical, you might have 2 to 3 year shelf life. In food, it's very difficult. You might 12 to 16 month shelf life. So, but textile, especially natural textile, if you go into natural textile, now you're blocking China because you have the natural claim in there. If it's a natural Chinese, imagine this entrepreneur that I supported in America. I don't want to say her name because I just, whatever. But if you go on my Instagram, you'll eventually figure it out. So imagine her selling to all her primarily female, wealthy American women followers that this is we made this clothing. It's all natural. It's organic. It has plant-based dyes. And we make it in China. All of a sudden, as soon as I said the word China there, you're like, wait, where is it made? But if it's all natural clothing, it's organic, it's handmade by women, and it's made with love in India.
Perfect.
Right now, when I said that, right, it's all it all flows, right?
Yeah,
Because we have that perception in this country, we
Yes.
are like
And
that in
yeah,
this country.
it's
So
perfectly explained.
yeah,
Perfectly explained. I
yeah,
think it makes sense. It's a perfect example.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very good insight that you gave. Like, how can Indian entrepreneurs capitalize on the entire thing right now, entire export market, and what's changing? How Indian entrepreneurs can change according to the situation, and it's the right time to diversify to other markets, right? So that's the entire podcast. But I want to give you a live example, right? I want to ask you because it's going to be very personal. And the thing is, my sister, she wants to start a D2C brand, right? It's a handbag D2C brand, very personalized. We are not planning to scale it, but yeah, she wants to make it very personalized. Low volume would work. So here I want to ask you a few questions from for my personal knowledge, right? First is, since we have selected the product, that's a separate thing. But for someone who hasn't selected any product, you said that you found that product bamboo brush, which has gone viral very quickly. How did you get to that product? You
Yeah.
have already mentioned that you travel and you've seen. So for someone who is sitting in India, how can they find a good product? And secondly, how to validate that product for the market?
Yeah, for me personally, my first product was picked from my interest.
Okay.
It's hard to beat someone that's interested in it.
Hmm.
You know, like right now I'm doing some services for this brand Tagara Raho. It's an Indian brand. It makes
Yeah.
like Hanuman Gada and
Yeah.
all these other Mudgar
They have
Indian
gyms in Bangalore.
gyms. Yeah. If you listen to that founder's story, he had a chronic arm injury. He was nearly paralyzed, and they told him you can't do regular gym. So then he started doing traditional Indian workout, which has more movements, and then that's an incredible story. Okay, then you recovered that way, and now you're interested in that product, right? For me, I was interested. I was just an eco-friendly guy, to be honest. In my house, like me and my wife, we feed our son and two sons. We try to do like all natural food. Like they have organic milk. We buy really good ghee. We buy good atta. We do all these type of natural things. I was already like that when I was 22, 23 too.
Okay.
So I was interested in eco-friendly. I found this product and I already knew the market because I am that market, and I knew the market will buy that product before there was any data. That's another thing. So a lot of people ask me, "Well, I'm analyzing all this trade data and I see this is going up here and if I was going on trade data as a 24-year-old, 25-year-old, I would never have started the business because there is no data on a product that doesn't exist and has no demand. There's no demand yet for a product that is not really on the market, right? So the data is only going to take you so far. So when you're thinking about product ideas, look at I tell people look at 5 things actually. If I can remember all of them right now. Your education. Are you a pharmacist? It should be pharmaceutical product. You're a dentist? Think about dental product. Your location? You're from Moradabad? I think you should probably utilize that network, right? Are you from Kanpur? You have a natural advantage in leather, right? You're from Northeast? You have a natural advantage in bamboo, right? Tirupur? I mean, education, location, interest. I pick based on interest. And then now I have to social circle.
Okay.
So for example, for me, I will never go into high fashion product. I'm not in that circle. I'll fail. I don't go to fashion weeks and stuff like that, and I'm not gonna ever succeed like that. And then now I'm forgetting the 5th, but it's part of my curriculum, education, location.
Okay, it doesn't matter. We'll put it in the description. Yeah. Perfect. I think that answer my question. So the next question I wanted to ask you is, what platform to use? Should we start with to export our D2C products to the other markets? What are the platforms that you would recommend we start with? Should it be Amazon, Etsy, or any other platform? What platform would you
D2C product? You can do Amazon. And a lot of people do that very successfully. It's getting more and more crowded and more difficult to make your product stand out. But if you really have a unique, I have people come to me and they're doing a product like bed sheets and it's got no differentiator. They just made a random Indian factory and then they try to put it into Amazon UK and try to be successful with that. You're not competing on anything but price there. So Amazon is great if you have something differentiated. And in your and your sister's case, it sounds like there is something kind of unique and personalized about the product. So Amazon could be good. You have to invest more in Amazon now to get it running than 10 years ago. Takes more money. Before, if you look at the current generation of really successful Amazon entrepreneurs, and they're on social media and they made all their money on Amazon, they got into it at the right time. Now, mostly people, there's a lot of consolidation in Amazon. There's people buying themselves and consolidating into like a unified Amazon conglomerate. You have that. Thrasio was like an Amazon aggregators of Amazon. It's expensive and it's risky. Your listing can get deactivated. Amazon can put their own thing on there. And it's just like, it's expensive and risky. I would say the safest bet is global Shopify.
Global Shopify.
Global Shopify. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you a follow-up question. Like, yeah, that answer my question. So the follow-up question I want to ask with the platform thing is, what strategy would you recommend if someone is starting a brand and want to go global? What should be the strategy to find first 100 customers or 500 customers? Is there a strategy out there, a playbook out there that you can like tell the audience right now, tell me right now? Any strategy to find the first 100, 150, 200,000 customers?
I would say your biggest strength right now is if you can see that I can tell you find 100 customers if you can pay for it. If you can pay for it, you can do a lot of interesting things in paid digital and paid social. But that requires spend, and then you have to have the customer has to be repeat, most likely, or you're selling something really expensive, because otherwise, your cost of customer acquisition and your value of the customer is not going to be enough. You'll be spending too much and you're not earning enough back. So paid digital is hard, and most of the starting entrepreneurs in India are trying to do it with less expense. My experience, I've taught thousands of people, so I know in general we're trying to do this with less expense. So your biggest tool to do that, to reach those customers, is organic content. Organic content. You don't have to pay too many people for it. You try to create something in a certain hashtag or category which is funny or interesting or has value, which is gonna just you need eyeballs in the early days. Like, you have thousands of subscribers on this channel. It's eyeballs, right? I have eyeballs, and how do you monetize attention is the easiest way to start without a lot of expense. But who's going to get that attention? Either you incorporate some type of content creation person into your team, co-founding team, or you do that yourself. That's the only way to do it without spending on Google and Meta. And then all your money is gone in Google and Meta, and now you're just trying to spend more. And that model of doing things, people made their whole living like that before COVID. A lot of the algorithms and also the customer has changed, where they're kind of immune now to receiving ads for products. So if you try, and also how much money can you, if you're trying to start with keeping your expenses down, how much are you going to keep spending on Google and Meta every single week and month? It's expensive. Organic content is not expensive. You can get a camera tripod and 2 friends and you're ready to go.
I think Ovaish gave a perfect example about the organic content making. What he used to do is, when he started his first export, which is of rugs, right? So he was creating content around expos, and he was also going to other pages, Instagram pages, who are selling those similar kind of products in USA or Europe. They were just going and commenting on their product, commenting on their reels, commenting on their posts that I am also a supplier of similar kind of product. And when they are finding out that comment, they're going to his profile and seeing his content, and somehow he got his first order like that. So I think it does make sense to create content that's the easiest and
Yeah, like if we were to use the
organic.
example we're talking about here with your sister's product and that supply chain, telling the story about that product and also the cool part about it is customization, which is a huge category. People will buy things just to have their name on it or as a gift. So customization is a interesting business category. And then how do you get those first 1,000 customers without going broke and then your business shutting down? It would probably be organic content creation, to be honest. And I'm not just saying that, I'm implementing that. Like my latest businesses all have co-founders. So I have two new brands that I came out with, one in 2024, one in 2023. And the co-founders are content creators because I realized content creation, how much are you going to do on your own? You're going to reach a point where it's hard. If your partner or your co-founder or someone in your business is doing content creation full time, it's so powerful because you just get sales for free. So I have a ladies underwear brand where my partners are content creators, and I have a men's brand where my partner is a content creator and a doctor. So that makes it easy to get the early customers. They're just going to come in on their own because the content creation is there to put the attention on the brand, and then the sales happen on their own.
Perfect. I think that's a perfect answer to my question. You also mentioned about you have spoken to a lot of Indian customers, Indian exporters. They want to do it on a very low investment. Can you give us any number if I want to start exporting to other markets like USA or Latin America? What should be the initial realistic investment that I should set aside for this particular venture for just sending my goods to the other markets?
So it's difficult to answer, but I would say a baseline of I hate to say a number because there's so many counter examples, but I would say you at least need 5 lakh sitting around I would say 5 lakhs to really set up the infrastructure for. You're going to have to set up a baseline technology infrastructure. You're going to have to invest in branding of yourself, of your brand, yourself, or your trading company. You're going to have to invest in web technology. You're going to have to make a baseline investment in social media. And maybe there's some element of travel. Plus, you have to set up a corporation. Maybe you set up an Indian corporation. Maybe you set up a Dubai corporation. All these things. If you don't have 5 lakhs sitting around, very difficult to get into any of this stuff. You should still be doing a job until you're in that. And I've seen examples of, and I highlight some of these examples when I have an export accelerator program. Someone set up a factory in Karnataka, total expenditure 5 lakhs entire factory, because we have a labor advantage in India. You can create what's a factory mean in India. You can do production on a village level, on a rural level, and expenditure is not that much. You can sell those products in foreign markets at very, very good rates, provide employment on the local level, and have a factory for really not that much investment, which is only possible in this country and other similar countries. You can still do that here.
Perfect. That makes sense. I think to have a realistic number in mind always helps. People just
And there are counter examples to that. People starting with less.
And,
but
that's a realistic average.
And that money doesn't have to be spent in one lump sum. You can also do things on the side, get yourself ready over the period of 1 year. But somewhere along those lines, I would say, then if you're not ready with that, I would generally wait to accumulate more savings to invest before you jump into something like this.
Perfect. I think, Rohit, we have covered most of the part. Jo bhi mere dimag mein tha, we have covered. So, before winding up the podcast, we always ask the guests to give a message to whoever is watching this video, and mostly exporters or people who want to get into exports. One message that how successfully they can find a product and export it to the other markets.
Sure. So Here's my message. If you look in the last 20, 30 years at how money has flown into India, how money has flowed into India and how India's economy and society has transformed, all the key exports, all the key sectors that have brought in that money into our country are based on export. IT is also based on export. If you think about the IT sector, it's entirely has historically been dependent on export. We're exporting software. We're the world's largest exporter of software and services. The other main way that we're bringing capital into this country is product. And historically, we're a service export country, but people are looking towards us as a product export country. That's only going to increase. So if you're looking for ideas, the best way to do that is travel. If you look at all young Chinese exporters, they're traveling around, they're doing trade shows. I started with my own Chinese supplier when he was 25 and I was 25. He hardly speaks that much English. We have an English advantage here. You should fly around and use that advantage. Find your product idea, invest in the supply chain, maybe start as a trading company, eventually become a factory, but the potential is really, really big because you only have a handful of good manufacturing countries on this planet, and India is probably number 2 after China. So if you're not a software person or an IT person, if that's just not how your brain works, and it's honestly not how my brain works, product is a good industry to be in. And the best way to make money in product, yes, we have a huge domestic market among Indian consumers. You have great money to be made in domestic, but export cannot be ruled out. It's massive and the potential is huge. So people like Dipankar are doing a great service to the country by highlighting this industry. And I highly recommend that more and more people enter this industry because it's currently in the infancy stage. And by the time you're watching this 10 or 20 years from now, it's going to be a lot more developed. And always the people that get into something early are those that benefit.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rohit. Thank you so much for
Thanks
coming
for
to the
having me.
podcast. I think it was a very, very insightful conversation.
Thank you for having
Thank you
me.
so much. Thank you, guys.